I'm literally begging you to be mean to men, because as a man, I'm going to tell you a very weird and sad truth. We don't like nice women. Nice women get used and taken advantage of. But then the question becomes, how do you be mean to men the right way? The balance between being mean enough that men love you for it, but not so mean that men think you're disrespectful for it, which is exactly what I want to answer for you on today's show. We're going to focus specifically on concepts like being overly accommodating, learning when to say no, and understanding what it means to do too much too early. And by the end of this episode, you'll be the perfect balance between sweet and sour in a way that has all the men that you meet wanting more of you. Let's start off by defining what being mean actually is. It's not going up to a guy and expecting him to kiss and suck your toes when you first meet him, unless maybe you're into that. Being mean is about putting away the people pleaser in you, putting away the desire to be so overly accommodating and spending so much of your brain power and brain energy thinking about what does he need? What's important to him? How can I make myself more likable? How can I change this aspect of my personality or my hair color or the way that I dress to be more of what this guy wants? People are gonna like what they like. And at the end of the day, people are going to realize that you are trying to be a people pleaser when you attempt to do that. When you attempt to change fundamental aspects of who you are, they're going to pick up on that energy. They're going to say to themselves, very interesting that this person is literally willing to change any aspect of themselves based on what they think I do or don't like. That doesn't sound like someone I can see as an equal. That sounds like someone who is beneath me. And then they begin to treat you that way exactly. Being mean is also about understanding how to put away that fear that, oh my gosh, I'm gonna upset people and make them angry with me. And what's gonna happen if they're upset with, nothing's gonna happen. You're gonna be perfectly fine. You're still gonna live because you were around before you met them. You'll be around after you meet them. But you have to understand that I'm in my selfish era. I am a selfish woman, I'm a selfish girly, but selfish is good. Men love selfish. In fact, men desire selfish so much that when they meet me, they compliment me on the ways that I'm selfish, the ways that I take care of myself, the ways that I do things for myself. They never compliment me on how I lick and kiss another man's feet. They never compliment me on how I do for other men. They compliment me on how I do for me. So I'm gonna get good at doing for me. Next, we have to discuss treatment, because this is the number one thing that all of the women I help in my private relationship sessions and questions, they all need help with this. When you like a guy, that is the number one time you must become a drill sergeant. You must realize this guy is my type. I like everything about him. Look at his smile. He's tall, dark, and handsome. He has all the features that I enjoy. Oh my God, I fantasize about being with a man like this. In that moment, when you realize that this is the guy I would love to make exceptions for, this is the guy I would love to do anything for, this is the type of guy I would kiss his feet. In that moment, you have to stand up and say, perfect. Now that I know he's that type of guy, I need to be extra strict with my rules, because I know naturally I'm gonna wanna put all of my rules away and make constant exceptions for him in the way that I treat him. It's very important when you're becoming a mean girl, you're in your mean girl era, you understand every man in your life, no matter how much you like or dislike him, will receive the same treatment from you. Do not ever forget this concept, because I promise you, it's very easy when you're on a date with the guy you're not really that attracted to, and his teeth are all messed up, and he's kind of awkward, and he's not your type, and you're thinking to yourself, oh yeah, I'll have all my rules for you. I'm definitely not going home with you. I don't care how many drinks I have. I don't care what type of ovulation I'm going through. It's easy to do that when you don't like him. But when you do like that guy, the ovulation monster starts talking to you. All the voices in your head start communicating to you how it's okay because you guys have been vibing for basically 3 hours and he's told you a lot about his past. I'm telling you, you have to come into your relationships and your dates with this mindset. I don't care what he looks like. I don't care what he sounds like. I don't care what the date is like when we are on the date. I'm going to treat him the same I would treat any other guy. This is part of being mean and understanding how to be mean the right way. Because when you do that, he'll receive the type of energy from you that, oh, You're not special, or in this case, he'll say to himself, I'm clearly not special just because I'm more attractive than the average guy, just because I'm richer than the average guy. There is nothing that I could give her or offer her or show her that's going to allow me to skip steps in terms of the amount of effort and consistency I have to show her before I will receive any of her time and energy. By the way, if you have a personal relationship question that you want to ask me and get my advice or perspective on, go right into the link if you're watching this on YouTube, the first link in my description. Click that link, submit your question to me, and when you submit it, I'll respond within 7 days with a voice message. It's actually me giving you advice or perspective on your relationship or situation. Next, we're gonna discuss the list, because the best thing you can do for yourself in your mean girl era is come to all of your dates with an already existing list and criteria of what's important to you, the morals, the values, the foundation that you possess, that is all about you and your needs and your desires for your future. Because when that happens, it makes your life very, very clear and very, very easy to navigate. You go on your date, instead of playing a guessing game and saying to yourself, I like him a little bit, so maybe I'll change this rule and maybe I'll have this criteria today, and I meet this guy and he's a little bit different, so maybe I'll change and adjust my criteria. No, you're not doing none of that. Every time you meet a guy, no matter who he is, you're always saying to yourself, this is the criteria I have for a man. I want this type of romance. I want him to treat me like this. I want these things to be important to him, whether it be religion, the way he perceives marriage, the fact that he either wants or doesn't want to get married, the fact that he either wants or doesn't want children, all of these things, right? You need to create a list of what you desire for yourself. Then when you meet this man and you're asking him questions, this is part of being mean, you then realize, okay, we either are on the same page and we're in alignment because my criteria and my list matches his own criteria for himself and his own list, or when he's answering your questions, you're realizing, oh, me and him are not in alignment because his criteria and his list is very different from my criteria and my list. And this is part of being mean, because the nice girl in you will want to take that criteria and say to yourself, they're kind of not in alignment, but he wants to live in Miami, but warm weather's not that bad, and I can kind of envision myself if I close my eyes really hard, and I can think to myself, yeah, I could kind of see myself raising my kids in the. No, that's what the nice girl inside you is gonna want to do. The nice girl is gonna want to push you in the position of saying, oh, because he's your type, make some changes and make some adjustments to your criteria. Pretend like it's not there. Or it'll say, make your criteria his criteria. All of that you're not going to do. In your mean girl era, your criteria will be your criteria because it's important to you. And you will not change or adjust that, even if the guy that is your exact type does not agree with that or does not view it the same way. That is your sign. You're always looking for a sign, right? That is your number one sign. He is not meant for you. At which point, this is part of being mean, you walk away from the relationship and you walk away from that man. For our next point, I want you to understand this concept. Listen very closely. This is very important that you hear this. People will treat your time as valuable as you treat your own time. I know that sounds confusing at first. If you choose, when you go on dates with guys, to act as if your time doesn't matter, you're here with him for 5-6 hours, you're sleeping over, you're doing whatever, you're just hanging out. He can call you up in the middle of the night and you'll be ready in 30. You treat your time like it's whatever, he will treat your time like it's whatever. Trust me, if you're going to be mean to men and mean the right way, you will begin to value your time like it is the most valuable resource in the world, because it truly is. But you'll begin to act like it's the most valuable resource in the world to you. What does that mean? When you're going on dates with this man, you are not extending your dates past 2 hours, especially at the beginning. It's unnecessary. You gather information, you get what you need out of the date, you learn some more about him, you get a better understanding of him, and then you go home to reevaluate what has happened, what has transpired, and what you've experienced. You do not do these marathon dates that, one, leave you in delusion, but two, and even more importantly, they communicate to that man very early on that your time is not valuable, as if you don't have other places to be and other people to spend time with. Like you can just meet up with him and hang out with him the entire day. No, if he wants to see you, he will grow in his ability to see you and the frequency at which he sees you over the course of time as he continues to prove to you that he can be consistent over a long period of time and that he can put in effort into this relationship. There's nothing wrong with having a clear correlation in your relationship with the man that as he puts in more effort and more consistency, the amount of access he gets to you and the time that he gets to spend with you increases in correlation to how much effort he's putting into the relationship. And I know some of you are thinking, but 2 hours isn't enough time to get to know somebody and we're gonna have to go on another date because I don't feel like we're gonna be able to get all the... Exactly. You're not going to be able to get all of the conversation out in 2 hours. So what is that gonna lead to? It's gonna lead to him saying, okay, I need to see you again. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to increase the amount of time that he gets to see you, the opportunities that he gets to see you over the course of time, but we want to keep his desire to see you going and going and going. But we want him to also recognize that you're not going to be available every time that he desires to see you. Do you understand what we're trying to do here? That is what communicates your time is valuable, because in the times where he wants to spend time with you, he can't always do that. For this next one, I really want you to listen to what I'm about to say. Saying no is going to be part of you being in your mean girl era. But I don't just mean saying no in general to everything. I want you to understand and learn the concept of saying no in a way that is not disrespectful, but helps him understand this is a boundary. And just because I like you, even though I like you and I think you're amazing, I'm still saying no to this because it's my boundary for anyone. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. This is something I see a lot of women run into. You go out on your date, you meet this guy and you're like, ooh, actually he kind of is more of my type than I thought he would be. I'm looking at his face now and his smile and he's telling a lot of jokes and he's really actually kind of interesting. So this date is going a lot better than I anticipated it would go when I first was going out with him. So I have this rule because I learned from a stupid YouTuber that I shouldn't go out on dates more than 2 hours. But as I'm on this date, I'm realizing that I really, really like this guy and I really like the vibe we're having. So then you get to an inflection point. The 2 hour mark hits and then he asks you, hey, you know, I'm having such a great time on this date and I feel like we're both vibing. Why don't we just continue this date at my place with some wine? And in your mind, you're thinking, well, I don't want to say no to this guy because we're having such a great time and he really is my type. But I feel like if I say no, I'll be sending the wrong message. Or maybe he'll be mad at me that I didn't want to go to his place and enjoy some wine with him. And if he's mad at me, maybe he won't want to go on a second date with me. And then I'll miss out on this amazing guy who's literally my type and I'm finally vibing with. You cannot think like that. This is a perfect example of when you say no in a way that communicates this is a boundary, doesn't mean I don't like you, but it's still a boundary. Let me show you how I want you to respond in that scenario. I really appreciate you inviting me to your place, and trust me, I would love to enjoy some wine with you. It's not that I don't like this date and how it's going. However, we did just meet each other and I want us to build our relationship over the course of time. And I'm sure that you can agree, just because we're having a great date today, that doesn't stop us at all from having great dates and spending more time together that's amazing in the future. Do you see how that communicates? No, this is a boundary. I'm not passing or crossing that boundary just because you're amazing and you're cute and you're funny. However, in the future, we can spend that time together that you want to spend. We can grow our quality time. You can get to see me. We can enjoy wine together at some point, but that night will not be tonight. No matter how much you beg, no matter how much you plead, I don't care what you say, I don't care how you smile, it's not going to be tonight. But I still like you, I still like how things are going, and I still want to continue seeing you. These next two concepts are very difficult to execute. I'm going to explain them in a lot of detail. So first, you want to understand how to gauge interest. Gauging interest is a very important skill of you in your mean girl era. You have to be very real and honest with yourself with this. When you're dating a man, understand you're gonna go through ebbs and flows in the relationship, meaning there's gonna be times where his interest in you seems really high, he's really dedicated to you, he's messaging you all the time, he's calling you 24/7, and the reality of it is there's gonna be times in the relationship where it's not that much. He's not showing that much interest or showing that much intrigue in you. He's not calling you or texting you 24/7. The very important part of that is understanding how to gauge where that level is and also be able to pull back the amount of attention and energy you put into him. The reason I'm saying this is part of you being in your mean girl era is because the nice girl inside you is going to want to continue giving more and more time, attention, and energy even though you're seeing it dwindle away on his part. In fact, the nice girl in you is gonna want to replace the energy that is dwindling away on his part with even more of your energy. So as he's fading away, you're pushing forward. As he's fading away, you're continuing to push forward, trying to fill that gap. That's the nice girl in you. The mean girl in you, though, is gonna say, oh, you're pulling away. You don't seem as interested. Okay, me too. I let it fly. You can do what you want. And if it just fades away and it fizzles out, then it fizzles out. That's part of me being in my mean girl era, because if you're not interested in pursuing, if you're not interested in being consistent, if you're not interested in putting forth energy and showing me that you actually want to be in this relationship, then I will not bat an eye at falling back myself and allowing this distance to be the clearest sign to me that you're not really invested in this relationship. Now, this next concept, just like the previous one, is going to be challenging as well to actually execute, which is understanding how and when to give. Because when you're in a relationship or when you're building one with the guy that you really like, oh boy, this is really hard. Your natural nature in your feminine energy is to nurture. As you're nurturing, you're going to be giving a lot of that time and energy, but this is the more tangible version. When you're doing and you're taking action for him. For example, you are seeing a guy and you really like him. You're hitting it off hot and heavy. In the first 2 weeks, you're seeing each other out of 14 days. You're seeing each other like 10 days. And you're spending a lot of time together. You're doing sleepovers and all that. And then because you're enjoying this time and it's so hot and heavy at the beginning, you're immediately thinking about how to be a wifey and how to take care of him. So you have a day off and he's gonna go to work. So you're like, okay, the night before, I'm gonna cook you dinner. I'm gonna make this immaculate dinner and show you how amazing of a wifey I am since I'm sleeping over at your place. And then when you wake up, I'm gonna make you breakfast. By the time you wake up, I'm gonna have my makeup on. I'm gonna be all done up and you're gonna have breakfast right in your bed. And then he goes to work, and because it's your day off, you choose to clean his old apartment so that by the time he comes back from work, he comes home to a perfectly clean apartment and you can just be smiling there all pretty like, oh my gosh, am I not such an amazing wifey? But this is the wrong way to go about things, because in that sense, you're getting into a habit of not just giving, but you're over giving. In fact, you're using giving as a way to communicate, I like you so much, and I really like you, and I want you to like me. So maybe if I give more to you, you'll begin to like me more. This is the nice girl brain. As I give more, you'll like me more. That's not how it works with men. You cannot think like that, and you have to understand that way of thinking is a virus trying to sabotage you. In your mean girl era, you will give to men. There's nothing wrong with giving to men, but you will give to men as a way of showing your appreciation to them because they have earned the fact that you are giving to them. Whether it be your time, effort, energy, whether it be wifey treatment, they will earn it because they've been consistent and they've been putting forth effort over the course of time. And you will give to them, this is very important, relative to how much they've been doing for you. For example, you are not going to clean the entire apartment of a man who took you on one date one time. Now, this next one, I want you to listen very closely because it's not for everyone at every stage in the relationship. You need to be confident in the way that you speak on and of your desires. Now, you don't need to be telling men your desires from the very beginning of the relationship because they can mirror you and trick you by mirroring what they think you want. However, as the relationship grows, you will eventually have to speak on your desires, and it's very important that you are confident in speaking on the things that you desire. For example, your pleasure, whether it be in intimacy, the things that you want and how you want it to be done. Be confident in the way that you speak on that and about that. If he's doing something that you don't find pleasurable, don't worry about, oh my gosh, I don't want to tell him that I don't find this pleasurable because I'm worried that he's going to be mad at me, that I'm not enjoying this, and he's going to tell me that, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're telling me that I'm not good enough. You can't be overly concerned with how he'll feel about your desires. You have to speak on what you desire because you desire it. This is part of being in your mean girl era, is understanding that your happiness comes before anything else. That's the truth. I know it sounds selfish, but that's how you'll experience the best version of a relationship with a man. When you confidently speak on the things that are important to you without being overly concerned about how he'll feel about the things that are important to you. Because the reality of it is, any man who desires you, your happiness will be at the top of his priority list, because happy wife, happy life. So if you desire these things and you confidently desire these things and you speak on those desires with confidence, he will be forced to say, because I desire and want to be with this woman, then I have to make an adjustment in my life or in the way that I approach this relationship so that I can fulfill her desires. Which perfectly leads me into my next point, which is do not worry about men's response to how you feel about anything or any actions that you take. What do I specifically mean by that? You can get into a habit when you're in your nice girl phase and nice girl era that you're overly concerned with, if I do this, oh, he might be mad. If I say this, oh, he might feel a way about that. If I do this, he might not be interested in me. For example, right? You go on a date with the guy and you're thinking to yourself, oh boy, I'm waiting until marriage. I don't know, when should I tell him that I'm waiting until marriage? Because if I tell him now, maybe he won't be interested. Maybe I'll just wait. Or maybe I don't want to tell him that, I have children or I'm expecting marriage and I want this and I want that, because if I tell him, maybe he'll lose interest. Maybe he won't want me. Stop thinking that way. You have to understand it is not important how he chooses to respond to your needs, what you want, the things you say, the things you do. What's most important is that you communicate whatever those things are, or you act in a way that is authentic to who you actually are. Just focus, because I know it gets really confusing with dating and relationships. Just focus on being your authentic self for as much as you possibly can. Because the more you are authentic to who you are, what's important to you, and your foundation, it'll be so easy to weed out the men that you're going to be with and you should be with versus the men that you shouldn't be with. Because the men that you should be with will accept you for your authentic self, and the men that you shouldn't be with will not accept you for your authentic self, and that's okay. Do not be scared to communicate things or tell men things about your past or who you are or anything at all about your personality or character because you're afraid of how he'll respond. It doesn't matter. I know this is difficult to grasp, but loving yourself is the most selfish thing you can do. And it's selfish because in the process of loving yourself, you're going to have to say no to loving others. You only have 100% of your time and energy. And unfortunately, the more you're pouring into you, the less you're gonna have to pour into others. And let's be for real, I know as women, you wanna know how men think, you wanna know what they're attracted to, and you kinda wanna know what they desire. Maybe you don't want men, but you'd be interested to know how they think. I'll tell you this, there is no more attractive and desirable and sexy, seductive version of you than the version of you that takes care of you. Because when I meet you, when I see you from across the room and I see your hair flowing in the wind and I see your skin glistening and I see you glowing like a goddess, that's because of how you've been investing in you. Not how you've been investing in your ex-boyfriend, not how you've been investing in your friendships. And I admire you as a man because of all of the things you do for yourself. When I meet you and I compliment you on your hair, on your skin, on your nails, on your beauty, on your aura, on your glow, on your energy, it's all because of what you've been putting into you. I never want you to forget that, because for men, that doesn't change whether they're in a relationship with you, whether they're just meeting you on the street, or whether they've been with you for 30 years. They will always be more attracted to the version of you that puts energy into you. So if you're ever wondering or confused, which version should I be of me today? The version of me that's overly nice, overly accommodating, trying to do everything I possibly can for him, or the version of me that's mean, that's thinking about myself and what I need and taking care of all the things that are important to me? I promise you, you will always get the best reaction from men in terms of their attraction and desire for you when you worry about taking care of yourself.